Thank you, Mr Speaker. Many members in this House may not know this. I'll just start with a small little snapshot of my life, and that is that I grew up in South Australia and spent my childhood playing on the beaches of the Yorke Peninsula, crab fishing in Ardrossan, and eating King George whiting for breakfast, flattening out calamari with beer bottles. Mum used to fry them in the pan for breakfast, freshly caught in the Gulf of St Vincent. And what I want to talk about today is the disappointment of the South Australian people who have been let down miserably by this government, because today that beach in the great electorate, magnificent electorate of Grey, is a very, very different place. And as a matter of great national importance, I want to talk about the government's failure on the algal bloom that has been blooming for months and has significantly affected coastal South Australia with the Gulf of St Vincent, but also the Port River region and on Adelaide beaches. Now, scientists in South Australia have been asking this government for 18 months. 18 months to fund $10 million over $4 million over 10 years, to fund monitoring the Great Southern Reef and the algal bloom that has been reported as killing 13,800 marine creatures, which have died since March of this year alone, and over 400 species that have been affected. Now, notable marine species have been squid, I talked about, octopus, cuttlefish, benthic sharks, rays, sea dragons, lobsters, reef fish and seagrass fauna. And beach monitoring has logged nearly 5,000 wash-up events as of June 2025, with thousands more seen offshore. The Albanese government has failed to respond to the scientists from 18 months ago, under 2 ministers. The Albanese government has failed to respond when the marine life started washing up dead on the beach, starting in March. This calamity has harmed the environment and it's harmed the local community and the local economy. Now, my colleague Senator Ross Cadell has been working hard to support the local fishing businesses, and he knows that industry leaders like the oyster farmer Steve Bowley and Port Wakefield, a great bakery there, and I'll shout out to the people that work at the Port Wakefield bakery with the Kitchener buns that they have there. Fisherman Bart Bunston has spoken openly about the pain their communities are feeling with disappearing stocks, months-long shutdowns and no end or certainty in sight. It's been over 80 days, 80 days, since he sold one oyster. One oyster. And the new member for Grey, Tom Venning, has spent time with members in his electorate, who have been affected. The member for Grey knows that it's been over 80 days since fisher Paul Germain has caught one single fish. One fish. And the member for Grey knows that Bart Bartson, the local fisher at Port Wakefield who fishes in the Gulf of St Vincent, saw hundreds of dead cuttlefish floating on the sea, and from that time he started to see southern calamari disappear, and now there are none to catch whatsoever. The significance of that is that they make up at least 30%, and sometimes they make up the whole catch for these fishers. Now, trade has ceased, completely ceased, for commercial fishers at Port Vincent and at Stansbury on the Yorke Peninsula. And it's a crying shame. It's a crying shame. The member for Grey also knows that the wider impact on the local businesses is devastating. Tourists are cancelling their holidays in caravan parks. They're deserting local operators and hospitality venues. And the Stansbury publican, Rob Rankin, 18% down on last year for the corresponding 11 weeks. So over $1,000 a day of turnover he's lost. That is his livelihood. That is what he lives on. And it's stopped. Now, shopkeepers' revenues are down 15%. 15%. Businesses can't cope with that. And the Albanese government has failed the local fishing and tourism industries. There's no certainty, none whatsoever, of when this situation, unfortunately, will be overcome. And South Australians and all Australians should be disappointed in this Labor government because all of this could have been prevented. It could have and should have been addressed much, much sooner. I mean, if our marine life started washing up on Bondi Beach,
it'll be different.
Yeah.
it started washing up in Coogee, Cottesloe Beach. Goodness me. The member for Fremantle, if it was there, I'm sure the minister would have been there much quicker. If this had been the Great Barrier Reef, it wouldn't have taken so long for the minister. Instead, it took 18 months for the Albanese government to do, well, something. So, under pressure from his colleagues, the minister did a mercy dash down to South Australia just before we reconvened in the parliament. Quick dash down there.
Cynical.
Stand up, do a presser.
Look at the dead fish.
Look at the dead fish quickly. I'm sure he didn't walk the Ardrossan jetty. He tried desperately not to show up. Where's the minister representing the minister now? He's not going to speak to this. Again, Labor is missing in action when it comes to the environment. You failed in the last term.
I don't care about the environment. No.
Labor has failed on their environmental policies last term. They did not reform the EPBC Act. Stalled. Absolutely stalled. Now, while Labor's drop in the ocean funding announcement is certainly welcome, it is welcome, the people of South Australia welcome that funding. Tiny little bit of funding, $10,000 per business. I mean, at the press conference, the minister didn't even know what the money was for. He was just covering himself for this sitting in Parliament after pressure, no doubt, from his Labor colleagues, pressure from the Coalition, from the Liberal Party, pressure from the Greens, pressure from South Australia. That's what he was waiting for. Mercy dash down to South Australia. Now, during the last term, the Environment Minister, the member for Sydney, proved completely unable to deliver Labor's promised full overhaul of the EPBC Act. She promised multiple times the overhaul would be finalised by the end of 2023, but it's been continually deferred. And what we are left with is a very, very long process that doesn't serve the environment and doesn't serve jobs. Doesn't serve industry, doesn't serve our great nation, our flora, our fauna, but it doesn't serve jobs or industry either. It's taking too long for these determinations. And it's deeply concerning that Labor's lack of action is causing investment in Australia to decline. It's decreasing Australia's attractiveness as a place to do business, and most importantly, it is costing livelihoods, costing jobs across the nation. So it's important that we have an effective process that looks after the environment, because we care about the environment. Our environment has been going backwards under Labor. Come on, the endangered species list has increased. You do not have a record on the environment that you can talk about. We care about the environment, and it's important to have an effective process that looks after the environment and looks after the economy with a sensible balance. Labor has failed on the environment. You've failed Australians. You've come into government and you've failed us again today. The minister is representing the minister is missing in the chamber, and Australians deserve better than this Labor government that is clearly and ultimately missing in action, failed to turn up on the South Australian algal bloom, failed to deliver any outcomes, and failing Australians miserably.